So we are asking, what is the relationship between the two? Self-knowledge and education. We know what education more or less is, except there are exceptional schools. I don't know any, but there are. Let's hope. For humanity's sake, there are exceptional schools. When do we ask this question? That is, I want to know myself. When do we ever ask it, if we are at all thoughtful? When do we ask it? Do we ever ask it? Do we say, I must know myself? Otherwise there is no education. When do we ask it?
When you suffer.
Huh?
When you suffer.
When?
When you suffer.
Come on.
Quando soffre. Quando soffre allora chiede...
When you suffer, then you... No. Do you ask?
No, hai ripetuto.
Hey, io lo so. I mean, Papa. When do you ask? When you suffer. Then what takes place when you suffer? Do you say, why am I suffering? What is the root of suffering? Or do you say, please, I'm just asking, I'm not laying down. Or do you say, I want to escape from it. I want comfort, I'm lonely, desperately lonely. I've lost everything, I've lost the person I thought I loved, I am left completely alone, lonely in this world. Right? Then there is a suffering. And that suffering makes you say, seek comfort. Rely on somebody. Come to a conclusion. And so on, so on. Turn to God or whatever you prefer. So you really never ask yourself, actually, if you are true. So now we are saying, let us examine both and see their relationship. If there is such thing as separate education and self-knowledge as something separate. I don't know if you... Are the two things separate? You understand? We have divided it as education and self-knowledge. Then we try to find a relationship between the two. But I question very seriously whether the two are separate.
Sembra di sì che siano separate, perché anche lei parla sempre di un campo fisico e fisiologico e di un campo psicologico. Quindi si potrebbe dire che la conoscenza di sé è nel campo psicologico e l'educazione che porta all'abilità è negli altri due. Dunque c'è una separazione.
You yourself, the friend says, you yourself have separated the physical, the psychological, and so on. So, this leads to somewhere else. That is the psychological inquiry, does it affect psychosomatically? You know what? That is, if there is psychologically perfect health, psychologically, you understand? Perfect health in this sense, no conflict, sanity, no me and you, psychologically there is no division, that does surely affect the physical. One is much more healthy, vigorous, all the rest of it. So, we are now asking, please, what is the relationship between the two, and is there is there a division at all between the self inquiring into what is the me and education? Are you meeting this question, sir, Mr. Right. How am I, as a teacher, not sitting on the platform, I don't mean that, in a school, how am I to convey to the student both the acquisition of physiological facts, right? Knowledge, mathematics, history, geography, and all the rest of it, and also in the very teaching of those subjects, cultivate the inquiry to look at himself as the representative of all that. I wonder if I'm making myself clear. If I'm a teacher of history, how am I to help the student not only know the meaning of history, which is the story of man, follow what, and also help him to understand himself who is the man. I wonder, are you catching what I'm... Right? Does this interest you? Or you say, for God's sake, let's talk about not education, because I have no children. Just a minute, sir. And drop that subject. Let's talk about personal problems. Which is, are you interested in this? Yes. Be sure, because this is not entertainment. So how am I, a teacher in a school, to help him to understand himself through the subject which I am teaching, which is history, right? We have talked a great deal about this in various schools, so I'm rather good at it. Sorry, I didn't mean that. History is the story of man, right? The wars, the kings, the tyrannies, the, so-called cultural evolution of man from the Stone Age, all the rest of it. How am I to teach him history so that he, through history, is understanding himself, which is total development of man, right? Right, sir? Now, how am I to do it? If you are the teacher, put yourself in a position of a teacher, and how are you to teach history that way? Mathematics? Or physics, anything. That's the only way to cultivate self-knowledge and at the same time acquire knowledge of various subjects, so that they are not separate. They're all always moving together, flowing together.